Bottom of the morning to you folks. How's it going? Welcome back to Comrade Crypto. I'm Chris. Today, just like every day, there's nothing that you can do about the fact that you're in the red. Embrace it. Embrace it. Look, traders, when was the last time you made a huge profit or any profit at all when you bought the top? You have to wait. If you're going to buy the top, well, guess what? That's the top. Doesn't go very far in terms of how you accumulate your wins. To win in this game, it's cliche, but you have to buy when the price is falling. No one wants to believe it. It hurts. Hodlers out there, if you're not excited right now, you're doing it wrong. I'm not saying this because I didn't learn the hard way too. In fact, I'm still learning the hard way. It is the way the market works. Today we can expect some really, really intense volatility, I would expect, especially given the prior days, weeks, months. But are we sure it's going to go to the upside? No, of course not. Of course not. The market makers out there, the people trading, this is their job. Their job is to take your money. Let me say that again. Their job is to take your money. My job is to take your money. Our job is to take their money. Who's them? Retail traders. Retail traders. People like you and me. Look, I want to call myself a market maker. I want to call myself a crypto trader. I want to make this my living. There is so much money on the table every single day, but we must be patient. The chart tells us what we need to know. The chart tells us what we need to know. We cannot know the future. That's obvious. What we think we see is often, as we have felt so many a time, if you've been in this business for more than a day, even in a day if you're trading, right? You think, oh, it has to go up from here. The pattern has completed. Well, yes, but in which direction did it complete? Because a W formation can very often trigger a downside move. And you know why? Because it's exactly the pattern which permits the traders who have been trading for a longer term and that know how this market works. You're essentially eating out of their hands, right? We see a W pattern. Boom. There's a nice little one right here. It does go up, right? Oh my goodness. Happy days, right? We're going to continue go up. We have to. Bam. What happens? Well, we go right back to where we started, okay? If you took a 25x leverage here, you're getting liquidated on the way down here. You're panic selling. And then what? Right when we hit down here, boom, we move back forward the way we thought we were going to go the whole time. Up and down. Up and down. The charts show us what we need to know. There are volume candles. Look, whoever's trading here took this trade on the downside and then took it on the upside. He took these people's liquidation points down here, and then he took the ones who were going long up here. These guys were shorting, these guys were longing. Boom. What are we going to do now? We don't know. We need to watch and wait. We know there's some big news coming out today. If we take a look at the the overall market for the past several days. Sideways trading. There's nothing exciting about it. But when you're hitting these levels, you're going to be frustrated like hell when you get up here, and then all we're going to do for the next 24 hours, 48 hours is just slowly bleed back down. You can't get into this thinking that there's going to be massive moves in a single day and you're able to catch them necessarily unless you are an automated trading bot. For example, okay, yeah, you can react in some of these really, really intense spikes. And if you're really good, you can catch some of the moves on the way up and down. But primarily what we're looking for here are larger scale patterns and looking for opportunities to be accumulating as the market's falling, taking profits as the market's rising, or depending on which direction you're trading. Obviously, I say rising and falling, but it could be the opposite way. On the high level, let's take a look. Where are we at? Bitcoin. Bitcoin follows logarithmic regression. It is trending upwards over time. We do see diminishing returns. I think everybody agrees with this now. I mean, these are all concepts. Let me be honest. I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm only studying for the past 2 years these markets. I see a lot of YouTubers, a lot of article writers, a lot of finance magazines and news publications talk about this and that news, El Salvador, the Fed, the blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all these things do impact, but they're excuses for the market makers to make big moves and to trap you. There are generally patterns that you can follow. And if you're trying to catch the bottom or catch the top, well, good luck. But generally speaking, let's look at the bigger picture. Yeah. Fair value could be assessed as the price at which Bitcoin, over the history of its existence, is approximately exactly half the time. It's like right in the middle. I mean, you would want to try to find the fair price should be the middle price across all the time, right? That's the way I'm understanding things. That's the way I'm imagining things. And I did put together a small little script here, which tracks that price. And you can see here, it's beautiful actually. The price above and below is nearly exactly the same if you just draw this very simple logarithmic regression. Boom, from Genesis to today, we have almost exactly the same number of days above and below. We're actually slightly overbought in this case. We're still above price. As of this week, though, and everybody feels it, all hodlers and traders that are trading on the long side who don't understand how to short are feeling it. And if, historically speaking, we look back at the previous times when we passed through it, we have trouble ahead if we don't get above it, right? Boom. 434 days below. That's over a year and a half of pain, right? A half a year of pain. Let's see where else we got. Back, that was back in, the capitulation event in November 2018. I wasn't around back then, to be honest. So many of you guys have already felt this many, many times, and we don't want to believe it. We want to think Bitcoin can only go up. But if you're in this space now, and you expect and want to stay in this space, we have to understand this. Look, 854 days under the fair price. That was incredibly bearish, right? I mean, yeah, look at these moves, though. These are massive, massive moves. And you see this wick? Boom. You think that this wick wasn't the same people who sold, who were shorting down here, right? These guys that picked up your cheap, liquidated longs didn't then sell them right back to the same people that thought, okay, this must be it. We must be moving only up from here. We're breaking the bear trend. No, they got screwed down here. Then they bought back in up here. And they probably got screwed again here. And then here. Look, I mean, it's over and over and over. These wicks tell terrible stories. This is people going broke. I know it is. You can check. You can see the charts. You can see the data. Look, but on every bear side there is a bullish side. So look, it's happening again and again and again. And if you try to imagine, okay, if I'm a trader long term, this is my job, right? I do this for a living. I'm not trying to make a quick buck. I mean, yes, I am trying to make a lot of bucks, but not a quick buck. I have deep pockets. And I can think about this over the course of years. Years, not days, not minutes, not even hardly months. Yeah, there is playing going on in the monthly time frame here, weekly time frame, daily time frame. But it's not the big picture. Some interesting things to note is, yeah, we have just now passed through the fair value, but will we get back above it? If we can actually get back above it, like we did here, if we can stay above it, let's say if we close above fair value, I mean, if we can bounce it, we can stick above it for a little while. If we can bounce it and stick above it for a while, boom, we have huge gainers coming. Boom, if we can stick above it, right? We almost touched it, but I mean, this isn't an exact science here in terms of this regression line. I mean, you can definitely recalculate it in slightly different ways where the line will come up to here or go down here or whatever. But this is my line, and so here, look, how excited were people when we got to these levels, right? Boom! I bet they weren't excited once the market turned it back around. The same here. I mean, look at that. Imagine how excited people were in this area just to be suffering another collapse. I mean, that's August, September, October, people getting excited, but the whole time suffering completely, only for it to continue to draw down. We can stay above it. Look, we can hit all the way to the bottom of this and continue still to save it, right? Look at this. We were riding it perfectly. Okay, so it is possible still that we turn out of this. But if we don't, we can still also just be right in this range. We can expect this to continue rising. This is going to continue rising over time. Okay, that's a little exaggerated, but this is going to continue to rise. Soon we will be hitting fair value of 60K. January of 2023, 60K should be the fair value. So if you bought at 60K and you're not leveraged, you're fine. You might have to wait a year, okay? But it doesn't matter. Look, hold it. Hodlers hold. We have huge gainer potentials. Gann Fibonacci fans here, for me, are a beautiful way of demonstrating let's say, if I was an algorithm, if I was a computer algorithm or a human who's looking at these timescales, where would I set my alerts, right? Because there are thousands and thousands of instruments out there moving every day. So why focus only on one? Well, you shouldn't, but if you do, well, then that's fine. That's your thing. But most traders are not. They're taking advantage of local liquidity bubbles, basically. I apologize that this is still new for me, by the way. So if I'm stuttering and trying to think on my feet here, I don't have exactly the lingo all the time right at the tip of my tongue. So bear with me and show your love, show your support for me. If you like this kind of content, definitely hit that like, subscribe. You know how it goes. Hit the bell notifications. I do want to continue to provide this type of analysis for you. And well, yeah. Back to the story here. So if we take from the tops, okay, this is a relatively optimistic, let's say, perspective, because we're not looking at the downside, but we assume that Bitcoin is going to be continuing to move through an increasing channel, like an ascending channel. So yeah, we will be hitting downsides, we'll be hitting upsides, boom, boom, boom. But if we follow this fair value, well, this, to me, has proven also to be a very key line in the sand, right? So where could we be going next? Well, we could be going down as far to touch this. Hopefully there's no massive bad news that would take us even further, like it did in the March crash from earlier last year, right? But it could for a little while. That could be the bear market. And if we're in this stage, that's expected, because look, we can expect another year of being in this underneath the fair value. Why not? It's happened every cycle before. If it doesn't, well, where else could we go? Well, we can go above the fair value still. And look, the lines are going to be up to 250,000, right? These are the numbers people were thinking about all last year that we were already going to hit. You know, if we look at it from this perspective, from this Gann Fibonacci perspective, then we can see that there's support here. I mean, resistance, and we failed to hold it back in 2018, and we came through the fair value line and ended up in the bear market. We have not yet, you know, it's acted as resistance here. We failed once, we failed twice. If we looked at the volume profiles, we would see that, you know, this pump was much weaker than this one. Everyone who was hodling from back here, or even, you know, deeper into, you know, any of this range from the beginning of time, saw this and was like, hell yeah, it's time to get out. Let's take profits. There's massive spikes, realized profits. If we look at Coinbase, for example, we can see it. You know, it's here. Look at this massive spikes. Boom, and it's getting. There is a divergence here where the price is going up and the realized profits. You know, this is available on Glassnode, and also it was talked about in the most recent Glassnode update, which was a very good one. And we can see that it is decreasing, and while price is increasing. And so that's showing that there's weakness in the market. The people who were taking profits and interested did so early. And the ones who are taking profits here are not going to be buying back in for a while. They know that the way the market moves is up and then down. Whether they're buying in down here, hard to say. We'd have to look at the data even more, and we will. But it doesn't appear that they were, from my experience so far looking at the data. We won't go into it today, but they're still waiting for better opportunity. And when's the better opportunity if you're a long-term thinker here? Well, we're waiting for lower prices. And right now is actually a very good spot to be accumulating. If you were buying at the top, you're suffering, obviously. And if you've gotten liquidated, well, let's learn our lessons. We will be going down possibly to touch this level of support, down all the way from, you know, it's rising all the way between, you know, if we went down there tomorrow, it'd be down to 23. But it's rising very fast. By the end of the year, you know, or let's say by the end of February, we'd be looking at 22, May 25, June 27, August 29. 30,000 will be the level that we can imagine that we can still be bouncing at if we're gonna hold general long-term support in this Gann Fibonacci, let's say, ascending wedge, right? If we hold, which I do believe, if you look at the long-term perspective, this is support. Boom, boom, boom. Since all the way back when it flipped to support in 2017 when the previous bull market began, right? So there's a high probability that this would be, this is what I'm looking at anyways as support for the downside, with a possibility of wicking down, let's say on the monthly scale, wicking down through it and absolutely destroying people for a little while, pulling back up, and then we'd be riding this back up to the top. Eventually, we will be hitting these levels. We will be. So hold in there, boys and girls. Hold in there, bears and bulls. We will. If you're a bear, good luck. You better be taking your profits when we hit these levels. And actually, maybe you should be bearish right now because that is the trend, right? Boom. Local trend, but long-term Bitcoin trend is rising. Period. There is some very interesting data to be found here. We are hovering right at my calculation of fair value. We do, on average, we have spent on average more time above the fair value than below it. So there is room for us to continue in this downward momentum. But generally speaking, this bullish move has been significantly smaller than the previous one, 672. Okay, there was a nasty little bear dip right here, and this was a more choppy time. But even if we look at just the 2017, 2018 bull market, we were 560 days above. So we could expect another 100 days. So what is that? What's another 100 days from today? 100 days would bring us to April, May, right? Tax season. So we might expect to still come back up and then boom, right? And be in the bear market for a while. If previous trends hold true. But of course, we're not going to bet on that. We're not going to bet on that. We're going to look at the candles. We're going to look at the candles if we're day trading. If you're hodling, these are good times, because in the long term, you're not looking for quick profits. The longer we're in the bear phase, the better. You can accumulate, but do it responsibly. Do it intelligently. When we are moving down DCAN, slowly look at the charts. Buy $1 at a time, one whatever at a time. Do not go all in. Do not go all in leveraged, right? You will get wrecked. Now, if we look at the charts for today, well, we can see volume profiles are trending sideways. Essentially, we do have some heavier movement down in terms of momentum for volume. The open interest is not showing here because this is a spot, but we can also see in the order books for ADA. We'll just go ahead and start here because this is where I ended yesterday with my trading personally, and we can see that ADA is looking like there's some interest all the way up to the 120 level on the long side, and on the 0.9 90 cent on the downside. And if we look at it, what are we doing? We're essentially moving sideways, right? The higher lows and the lower highs are bringing us towards a point in time, which, to be honest, is a 5-minute chart. So it's very likely that This isn't coincidence that we're building towards this, because look, the market knows that today there's actually going to be an important, let's put it in quotes, an important announcement. You know, boom. We can expect that at some point in today's trading that we're going to break. You have to be careful though. It can break very easily to the upside as a fake out. Maybe even hit 120, right? Hit these massive levels where people are waiting to then dump, and then boom, fall right back through, continue the generally speaking downward trend. If we take a wider look out, what's the trend here? Boom, it's unmistakable. Down. What's the trend? What's the trend even further? Right? Well, this, in the end, what was it? How many market makers were simply loading up on shorts all the way up? And very quickly, look how fast that happened. How many people got actually liquidated and broken by these moves, right? The main source of liquidity were down in these levels, right? Boom. People who are trading down there are super happy still. Because look, they had a chance to sell out here, and they did. They had a huge chance to sell out in all this region, and they did. And now we're coming back down to retest some of these levels. My suspicion is that this zone will be highly defended, because this is where all the money is, right? This is where the majority of the money. This is the point of control by a long shot, right? So where would people want it? If traders are down here thinking long term, they're jumping with joy that the prices get up here, because they can sell it to retail, come back down. You can see that there is a W pattern forming here, and actually across essentially all altcoins, and even Bitcoin on multiple time frames is forming a similar pattern. And we have to wait. We have to wait and see. Will this break to the upside? We know it. We know if it does, it has to come back and retest. And this is where we want to be making our next major move. We want to make sure, on the downside, do we hold these levels of support where, if my understanding of the way the market works, in general, traders, these guys, who took profits all up here, waiting, pushing, shorting the market on the way down, will be defending this level again. If we start seeing this become the next point of control, you better believe that we're moving back up. Okay? It's not going to be a straight line, obviously. It's going to be crazy. It could even be like, something wild like that. I mean, don't kid yourself. This is not a game for wussies. This is craziness. Look at the volatility. It's insane. But look at the volume. I mean, the volume these days is absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Which means there's actually still a lot of bullish holding going on. These guys are not selling. Everybody who bought up here, they're probably being liquidated down here. But these guys, not necessarily. Right? They're holding. They're gonna want to sell up here. That's these guys, right? That's these guys. Man, this is a mess. I hope it's helpful. I'm not sure if it is. I'm going to continue to try to do this type of analysis, just thinking on my feet. I'm trying to teach myself, trying to learn myself, trying to build discipline, trying to make this work for me, trying to help others think about it, process these past years of chaos and ups and downs. I mean, I've been up thousands of percent and I've been down thousands of percent. It's insane, the volatility, and I'm not sure what I'm doing. Let's be honest. This is just my interpretation of what is happening, and I'm trying to learn. And if you want to learn with me, let's do this. If you want to trade with me, let's do this. I'm Comrade. I'm Chris. Comrade Crypto. See you in the next video.